it's been a wonderful lineup of speakers since the beginning of this ETCIO Cloud and Data Center Summit this morning. We've had a very insightful and vibrant exchange of ideas with our speakers, all of whom have been practitioners, have really rolled up their sleeves, gotten their hands dirty with cloud implementation, and have come up with projects that have taken their organization's digital journey forward. And in the series of these conversations that we are having with cloud practitioners, we also have with us today Anubhab Goel, who's really handled a lot of cloud-first initiatives. Now, Gartner predicts that by 2025, 85% of the organizations will adopt a cloud-first approach. Now, it's not going to be easy for organizations unless they have a well-structured plan that factors in the people, process, technology, platforms, governance, compliance aspects of a cloud-first journey. Now, a cloud-first implementation can really help an organization take their mind off managing the nuts and bolts of legacy infrastructure and can then give them the flexibility and agility to be able to do digital transformation at scale. It can also help them speed up the innovation cycle, the time to market, time to value, and various other benefits that can then help them create better digital experiences for customers. While most organizations might want to accrue the benefits associated with a cloud-first approach, not many of them really know how to go about it. So this is where we would want to talk to Anubhav in this session. We will explore with him what is the right approach to take when you're planning a cloud-first strategy, what is a low-risk approach, what are some of the challenges that organizations might have to deal with. And Anubhav is someone who can really translate an ambitious vision into meticulous execution. He's been there, done that, and is going back for more. So with that, I'd like to welcome you to this fireside chat session. Thank you for being a part of this. Anubhav, in your previous avatar, you've worked with a private life insurance company, which was one of the top and leading players in the sector in India. It has the largest network of distribution partners. It also had the biggest and the most large-scale deployment of cloud in the BFSI sector. So how did you go about the transition to a cloud-first approach there?
No, thank you so much, Sneha, for calling me in, and thanks Siddharth for the wonderful welcome. It feels like family, to be in this room. Like we have Google, we have Nevius, we have you, and now I saw Siddharth. I was like, I think the entire 360 is complete. Just to give you a view about what happened in 2017 when we started thinking about cloud. So in my previous experience, I have been an entrepreneur. I built two large startups, one in the HR tech space and one in the on-demand home services space. And for us, their cloud was given. Even today, if you build a startup, what do you do, right? The first few days, you build a .com, you get a Gmail account, like a Google company account, and you spin a cloud to start building. Versus here, I joined in 2017, this large insurance company, and I started to, wanted to build. And I was told that you can't build. And I think that's where the entire journey started. And I was like, I love two, three things, right? I love to solve problems. If there are no problems, and I roamed around the business and I asked them, do you have any problem? And everybody was like, no, there is no problem. Then I look at white spaces and I start solving for it. And I think that's where we decided that if we really have to be in a build culture, if as a company we want to continue to solve, and that's where I think I got a very, very free hand from the management team. And then I was blessed to have a great partner that time. The cloud provider was, the leadership team was completely in sync with me, and they came and they said that let's innovate, let's build, let's fail fast, and let's see how does it work. So I think first few months we ran a couple of pilots with the cloud provider. And the problem was very fundamental, right? Like the problem was that we didn't even know our customer. And I think I'm sure in this room, a lot of us faces this problem. If someone has 2, 3 relationship with the same company, we don't know who the person is. And that's so basic.
Single view of the
A single
customer.
view of the customer, right? And that sounds so trivial when you come from a startup background because that has to
And that
happen.
can lead to so much complexity when you're trying to approach the customer with the right product and service
Absolutely.
best suited to him. And
Yeah.
also to craft that kind of an offering.
Correct. So I think that was the whole thing. And we said that we will build India's first data lake for BFSI with the insurance company. And I think we spun the entire thing with around 4 to 5 months. And I still remember there was a management meeting where I asked everyone, okay, fine, give me your 2 or 3 identifiers and I'll show you the result. And when they saw the result, like almost real time in front of them, I think that was the day when I got a full commitment from the management team and we became India's first and largest case study on BFSI for cloud.
Could you hold forth on some of the action points that you took that really stand you in good stead?
So I think at the beginning, as an action item, I took my own budget. So like typically what happens is IT usually takes a support function role in the companies and we continue to look for sponsors. I think we took a budget for us and we told the CEO that this is something which we want to run on our own. Then we got the partners in place, and we had an amazing head of engineering who was working with me. And we started building these use cases for 6 months, which was completely out of our pocket, like from our budget. So I think that was the first action item which was there. Second, we didn't go to anyone looking for use cases from business. The first 3, 4 use cases, including the DTU or customer one view, is something which we built on our own. And when people started seeing that in motion, that's where the entire thing started, and everybody was like, I'm missing the bus. Like the management team meeting, which I told you. After that, I got so many requests, and I was like very busy for next 2 years because now everybody was having a feeling of left out. They had this big FOMO in their head,
You want a piece of the action.
कुछ हो रहा है यहाँ पर, right? And why we are not part of it. And I think that's where I think the game really changed. So I think if you ask me, the action items is have your own budget, do the experiment, don't go back to the business team for knowing because we know those things, right? And just build a quick POC. And after that, everybody comes back to you.
Now, Anubhav, you're trying to replicate the same success at HDFC ERGO now. So what steps have you taken towards the adoption of a cloud-first strategy now? And what are the best practices that are emerging in the groundwork phase, the blueprint phase, and the foundation phase of the journey?
So what has happened in last 3, 4 years now, right? Like such conferences never existed, right? I remember even those times, the tech conferences were not really talking about the cloud as the main theme for the full day sessions, right? So that time also people were still talking about what and why, right? That was like 2017, 18 era. I think cut to today, people are not asking that question what or why. People are asking more question about how. So I think here also when I joined around 2.5 years ago, the question was not about what and why. So here we took a very different approach than what I took at the previous company. So there we were doing certain pilots and trying to make it worth it and go on. I think here we are going full on. And that is a journey which we started last year, the entire transformation journey of HDFC ERGO, where we said, what are the business objectives we want to reach? And that was a discussion which was actually anchored by the tech and digital team along with business, rather than happening it the other way around. And that's where we built the entire strategy. In JFM this year, we took the budget approvals from the boards. What we also did, all the IT investments, ROI, has been embedded into the long range plan of the business numbers also. So now entire organization is behind it now, and we are going full on into the cloud, and we're doing everything which is possible. So we are doing POCs, we are doing colo lift and shifts, we are building new stack altogether, we are doing data lake, we are building AI/ML use cases. So I think within HDFC ERGO, I can think like 5, 6 different so-called digital factories working along with business who are going full on into it. And I feel that in next 18 to 12 to 18 months, we will look like a very, very different company than what we are today. So here, I don't have to prove why cloud is important anymore. I think the company is very well aligned. We have more than one partner available in the country. I think 2017, there was only one large OEM who was working. I think now we have choices. People have data centers in India. So I think all those maturity of the sector also is happening. We still feel that a lot to be done by the OEMs for India as a market. But even without that, I think the question is not what and why anymore. The question is about, putting your, all in into the strategy now.
Now, Anubhav, traditionally, the insurance companies are not known for customer experience or a modern customer experience. Woody Allen once infamously said that there are worse things in life than death. And if you really want to know, then spend an evening with an insurance agent. So that's the impression that people have in terms of customer experience when it comes to insurance companies. Now, while you represent a general insurance company, but how do you think a cloud-first approach could, deliver the business objectives along the pivots of experience modernization and data centricity to then fuel that kind of an experience transformation and modernization?
Yeah, no, I think very pertinent question again. And the entire customer experience start from how do you interact and when do you interact with your customers, right? I'm not sure in this room whether you guys get a sales mail from the same company for the same product which you already have. I keep getting so many times such reminders of the product which I already have, which means my company doesn't even know who I am, right? And insurance is a very paradoxical business, right? Like on one hand, I want to make the entire buying experience very frictionless, right? I want like you come and I give you the policy. But at the same time, I want to ensure that if it's a life insurance, that you are at least a living being and you are healthy, right? Which means I have to ask you a few questions and know you better. And I think that's where the entire agility of the technology stack becomes very important. And secondly, I think now while we are selling insurance, whether it's life or general insurance, we sell it through the partners ecosystem, right? So if you see PhonePe is one of the largest they're like becoming a largest distributors, right? And they say that we will not even call a customer ever, even if you leave a number. So I think the entire customer experience from the underwriting and claim standpoint and the entire buying experience from the partner is something which again can't happen if your technology is not super agile, right? And if you don't know the customer well. So I think that's where again it stems back.
And on the pivots of talent management and cost efficiency, where do you see the cloud first strategy helping organizations?
So again, as cost efficiency we talked about, right? Like we're working very closely with Google, and what happens is a large part of the cost of acquisition of a consumer is spent on Google, rightly so. And there, the large part of the dollars is spent on acquiring a customer, and the cost of acquisition is very, very high for an insurance sector, right? But if you use the data well, if you use the cloud strategy well, then there are things like customer data platform. So what typically Google will do is they will come and optimize your spend basis what customer is doing at other platforms. But since you don't have your own customer data platform with you, how can you optimize cost? And that's a very, very significant cost saving which can directly come when you are acquiring new customers itself, right? So you can optimize cost. Second, it comes to the entire efficiency when you are serving them, right? So if you have more and more digital means, like for us, the largest part of customer experience happens through the WhatsApp as a channel now, which means, so in fact, by the way, last 5 years, our customer count would have become like 2.5x, but in the call center, we have not even added one more seat. So we are still scaling up constantly without adding any number. And that just shows you that something is working at the back end, which is ensuring that we are not becoming a people-intensive organization, but really becoming a tech-intensive organization. And the third part is the entire claim experience. So if your claim ratios are getting better, but still at the same time, your overall loss ratios of the companies are not going down, which again means that there are some efficiencies which are getting inbuilt. So I think all the three things become important. From the talent standpoint, I think that's a holy grail for sure. And there are like two parts to it, right? One, the tech talent which you want to hire, and one, the employees who are experiencing your tech. I think the first part is like something which nobody has been able to decode for sure in this current market. But I think on the other side also, right? People experience this thing, right? Like if you are still on some old archaic technology from a email standpoint, or how you are sharing data, or how you are collaborating within the teams, is something which is really, really broken in the enterprises. And I keep wondering why is that? So I think that's what also we did here. We completely shifted our employee experience as well with the cloud first strategies. Yeah.
Now, when the life insurance industry really started off, I think it was probably the first data science led industry in the world when it would have probably started off maybe 400 years ago. How has the cloud made it easier for insurers to be able to collect, consolidate, analyze all the data that they collect from their customers. What role is cloud playing in being able to manage and build, innovations on top of that data?
So again, I think the AIML use cases and is a very highly abused term, right? You sit any conference and people talk about IoT, blockchain. I think these are the keywords which keep popping up. But I think what I fundamentally believe is since insurance is a data-driven organization, as a company and the industry, I think what one need to look at AIML use cases is from the platform standpoint. And that's what I think cloud brings on table because any model will not work if you don't have three things, right? You need to have a platform which can ingest data. You need to have a platform where you can analyze data. And you need to have a platform which can throw insights which can be consumed by the front ends. And I think that's where the entire friction breaks if you are not on cloud. So a lot of people say, no, my AI models are working well. Somebody say my actuary calculation is working well. But if you look at their underwriting models or their pricing strategies, it is still not at a segment of one. Somebody will say, okay, fine, my pricing for UP is this and my pricing for a large cohort is this, but not really at the individual level. And that's what cloud really facilitates, yeah.
Now, most of the times when organizations adopt a cloud first approach, they often get stuck in the frozen middle. What do you think they should do better to have an outcome realization with a proper cloud first framework? And how do you think they should go about identifying the areas of friction early on in the journey?
As I said, right, like run pilots. But I think from the org structure itself, I think that the things have to move. I think that's the beauty of large enterprises, right? Like you have this large ship which can't be navigated in on day one. And that's why I think setting up smaller digital teams within the company helps. I always give the example, if you have to ensure that the large ship is something which move faster, you deploy a lot of small speedboats around it. And over a period of time, people sitting on the large ship will start jumping into the speedboat. And over a period of time, that large ship might not even matter, right? Because everybody has moved to speedboats. So I think that's the only way to work on it. I think solve from the structure first. Otherwise, more often than not, it becomes a lip service. A CEO will come out from an analyst presentation. He will say, "Let's do cloud," and it will become a IT and an infra problem, which is not really how it works. That's just wrong way to do it. Yeah.
Now, Anubhav, as a practitioner, you're certainly a little ahead of all the others in the cloud first journey. So, what are some of the things you wish you knew before you even started on this endeavor?
So I think one, I am more a product guy. I am less of an engineering guy. I think I should still be coding. I think that is something which I wish I am still doing. I think the entire appreciation to the on-prem environment is the second thing. Like for me, I'm naturally cloud-born, right, so to say. So I don't have much appreciation towards the on-prem world, but I'm sure it has got its own benefits. And I think third thing, I feel that if Netflix and everything is working fine on a cloud infrastructure and they're all secure, then why infosec and all is so? I feel it's overrated. But I think I need to have that appreciation more there. I think the infosec part of it, yeah.
Thank you so much, Anubhav, for that insightful conversation. I'm sure our audience would have taken back a lesson or two from your experience and will surely want to push the case for a cloud-first approach within their organization. Thank you once again
Thank
for
you
being a
so
part
much.
of
Thank
this
you.
session.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.